The Alliance for Equality of Blind Canadians is pleased to bring you training on a variety of assistive technologies. Please like and subscribe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Richard, and welcome to today's Tech Tuesday session on the Apple Password Manager, and so today I'm going to cover basically how to set it up and what you can use it for. So, for those that don't know, the Apple Passwords Manager was developed as of iOS 18. So prior to that, Apple Passwords were in something called iCloud Keychain, and the various settings for the passwords were sort of scattered all over the Settings app on your phone. Now, since iOS 18, so anyone that's running anything older than iOS 18 won't have this. So it's really important to make sure that you're running at least iOS 18, preferably iOS 26, and you'll be able to actually manage your passwords. So to get set up for Password Manager, there's a couple things you need to make sure happen first. In your account tab on your settings app, so if you're in the account, if you tap your username in the settings app, double tap your username, flick down to iCloud there. Once you're in iCloud, flick down to passwords, double tap that, and then you're going to flick down to
try again. Show notifications, messages, one unread message, TV, settings.
Okay.
Double tap to open.
I'm just going to go to
Set Richard Marion.
myself.
Apple account, contact photo, image, a person, iCloud, button. iCloud Plus, heading. Save to iCloud, photos, 3008, drive, password, notes, passwords, 312
Okay,
items.
so you're going to go to your passwords in iCloud. You notice mine indicates it's got 300 items there.
iCloud passwords and keychain. Heading.
And you're just going to flick down once it opens.
Securely store passwords. Sync this iPhone. Switch button on.
So you're going to go in that setting. You're going to flick down twice. So the first time you flick on your phone, you're going to get an explanation of what happens here. Then when you flick to the next setting, it's going to say sync with iPhone, and that has to be turned on. Sync this iPhone, so your passwords will also store in iCloud as well too, so you can actually retrieve your passwords on other Apple devices you may or may not own. We won't cover this, but you can actually retrieve the passwords through Windows, but it's a bit complicated, and honestly it doesn't work that well if you're using the iCloud app on Windows. So I'm going to go back out of the settings. I'm going to go back to the other area, out of this part of the settings, you can to the other area that you need to make sure is set up.
iCloud Plus, back button. Apple account, back button, settings.
So now that you're in your settings tab, you're going to go to your general settings. So I'm just going to flick
Apple
down.
account, contact Richard Merrick, Richard.Merrick, personal information, sign in, payment, subscriptions, button, settings, back button.
Gotta back up one more.
Wi-Fi, just Bluetooth, off, cellular, personal hotspot, battery, VPN, general, button.
So you're going to go to your general. Okay, so now I'm in my general settings.
About, button, software, iPhone storage.
And I'm just
button.
flicking down to the passwords and
Apple Care
autofill.
and Orange, AirDrop, AirPlay and picture-in-picture, screen capture, CarPlay, Matter accessories, button, autofill and passwords.
So I'm going to go. So you want to be on autofill and passwords. And so this is where the magic happens. The great thing about the Passwords app is once you've set it up properly, it will autofill all your passwords on various websites and apps on your phone as well too that are compatible with the Passwords app. So for example, your banking app. If you do online banking, if you don't have your Face ID set up in your banking app, you can autofill your login information from your banking app that you've safely stored in passwords. So this is what you need to worry about here. So on this one,
Dynamic Island, empty, autofill and passwords and passkeys, switch button, on.
So you're going to have that.
Toggle setting.
That's going to have to be switched on. So if it's not switched on, if yours is toggled off, you're going to double tap that and toggle it from off to on. Then the next ones are related to other apps you may have installed on your phone.
Automatically suggest passwords, passkeys, and verification codes when signing into apps and websites.
Okay, so that one is just that it will automatically suggest passwords and passkeys. That's basically what the autofill does. So it will automatically suggest ones to you based on the login information you've stored on the passwords app.
Autofill from heading, passwords, passwords, and codes. Switch button on.
Okay, so
Double tap
in
to
my
toggle
case, I have the passwords app as the default for autofilling passcodes, passkeys, and passwords. There's other options you can use if you've got them on your phone. For example,
Chrome, passkeys and passwords. Switch button.
so if you've got Chrome, for example, you can have it checked as well, and it would pull your Google Chrome passwords that you stored in Google as well, or it would actually go there. It may actually go there in lieu of passwords. I haven't done that because I just have mine suggest from passwords. So that would be, I might play with that at some point and see. Then there's other options like
Authenticator, passkeys.
so if you have an authenticator app, it would suggest passkeys from that authenticator app if you need passkeys.
Google, passwords. Switch button.
And Google is Google as well. That's the ones that I have available on my phone.
Suggest strong passwords. Switch button on.
Okay, this is the next setting after all your autofill options is the suggest strong passwords. That is the part that actually, and I've got mine set to on. So that's the thing that will suggest encrypted passwords. So those are the passwords that you may see from time to time that are a bunch of random letters and numbers and special characters. So special characters are things like dashes, periods, and dollar signs, etc.
Automatically suggest unique, strong passwords when creating accounts or changing
Okay,
passwords.
so that's okay. So I think that's all you need
Verification
here.
codes. Heading. Delete after use. Switch button on.
Okay, this is the other thing
Tap to
too.
toggle setting.
So if you get 2FA codes by email or by text messaging, if you have this switch set to on, it'll auto delete those if you tap on the on your on-screen keyboard. There's an option that says, we'll say autofill from text message or autofill from email if you're already in the edit field of a website that's requesting a 2FA code. That's more once you're using the passwords app, but but if you want those codes, emails, and text messages to be auto deleted, if you turn this switch on, those emails will disappear once you actually autofill the 6-digit codes that you get for two-factor authentication. Before I get into the actual passwords, does anyone have any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'm either totally confusing people or it's really understandable. So I will move on then.
Actually, I do have a small question.
Okay, go ahead.
I think I haven't actually gone into that app on the settings yet, but I've gone into passwords, which I thought was from maybe it was from iOS 18, but I got a bunch of passwords in there that are really old things that might have been imported from the keychain or something. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's in the new passwords app or not. Those
Yeah. So what happened is when iCloud Keychain, like, do you remember if it was before iOS 18?
Yeah.
It was called iCloud Keychain. So
Right.
anything that was stored in iCloud Keychain was imported into the passwords app. And so, because before we had to actually go into settings and look for iCloud Keychain and auto, like it was all over the settings, and now it's an actual separate app on our phone, like OnePass is or another other password managers that we were talking about prior to the starting of this recording.
Oh, right. And so you can go in there and clean it out, right? If you've got
You
stuff
can
in
clean
there.
it out, yeah, and that's the great thing about it. And with VoiceOver, it's easy to clean it out. So I can tell you really quickly at the end
Sure.
how to clean
Yeah.
it out.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions before I move on? Okay, I will move on now. So
General. Back button.
I'm gonna just get out of my
15 general,
settings.
Back button.
Actually, I'm just gonna
Off
swipe to my
messages.
main
One
screen.
unread message.
Okay, quiet.
Double.
Okay. So I'm going to double tap my passwords app. So in order, just so you know, in order to open passwords, you have to authenticate with either your passcode, or if you've got your face print or fingerprint set up with your biometrics. So I'm going to open passwords. In my case, it's going to verify with my face
Passwords.
print.
Double. Use the lock button. Double click to continue. Password,
Okay.
passwords, more button.
Okay, so I'm in the Passwords app now. So the Passwords app has 6 different tabs. So the More button is just a menu of options that you can use in Passwords for other management. I'll maybe get into that later if we have a bit of time.
Passwords, heading,
So I'm at my passwords. So the first tab is,
all, 340.
so that's all your passwords. So in my case, I've got, as I mentioned before, lots of passwords stored in here. Some of them are like pegged, probably older and could probably just be deleted. So that's all your passwords. So that's where you go to get a complete list of every password that you ever created with iCloud Keychain or with the Password Manager, since it was changed to the Password Manager. I'm just going to swipe to the next one.
Passkeys, 19 items.
Because this is your passkeys. So the passkeys are relatively new. Passkeys are an upgraded version of passwords. What passkeys are is a way to basically log into a website without using any passwords. So passkeys do require the use of your biometrics, so your face print or your fingerprint or your device's security code. So, and the other thing with passkeys is they can be shared between your registered devices, or if the passkey is available on that website, say for your Windows machine, you can set up a Windows version of passkeys for the same website, so you don't have to remember the passwords even if you're going cross operating systems. Like for example, Google, your login information for Google can allow you to create a passkey in Windows, Mac, and iOS, for example. So that's the great thing about passkeys, and as long as it's the same exact account and the registered password is obviously the same on all your devices. You still have to have a password store, but it's more secure. So the next thing you have is
Codes, one
so,
item.
so codes. The codes is something that Apple added to the app when they change it from iCloud Keychain to passwords. So that's another way to create those two-factor authentication codes, those 6-digit codes that you need to log for a second login verification. And that's useful if you don't want to use other authenticator apps like Microsoft Authenticator or the Google Authenticator for generating those codes. And you can just put them all within passwords. The way you set up codes is on the website. It actually tells you how to do it. There might be an authorization key you have to use, or you might actually have to scan a QR code with your phone's camera to add an item to codes. So that's the other thing for codes.
Wi-Fi, 61 items.
Okay, so passwords also stores all the Wi-Fi accounts that you used to log into before. So that again was another thing. The only way you could access your Wi-Fi accounts with iCloud Keychain was actually doing your Wi-Fi settings. So now every Wi-Fi setting you ever set up is in passwords.
Security, deleted.
Okay,
0 items.
so the last 2 items, I bypass security because I probably have a couple security recommendations. So the next one is security. So this is, and if you've got it turned on in your password settings, this is this one that's really important because it actually allows Apple to monitor passwords that you're using on more than one website or passwords that have been compromised. So if a password's been compromised, it'll tell you that it's been compromised. It was exposed in a leak on the web. It usually says WikiLeaks, but it basically is if the password was exposed due to a hack site. Then in the passwords app it'll tell you how to change it on the website that you're on, and even sometimes give you the option in the passwords to change it from within the passwords app, so it would log you back into that website to change it. And then the last option in the tabs is your deleted password. So if you delete a password and then you realize you shouldn't have done it, you can go to the deleted items and recover that password for 30 days. After 30 days, and it disappears forever. And then the last few things on the password app are just
Toolbar, new shared search, new shared group.
so you can create a shared group. So if you have family members like if you have a family account, you can actually create shared groups and share passwords with your family members. I don't have any shared groups in my case, but if for anyone here that actually has family members that you're sharing other things in the App Store, and you have a family account set up, you can actually share passwords on websites that you both or a number of you may use as well too.
Search field.
Okay, that's
Tap to edit.
as you suspect it
Swipe
is.
up or down
So
to
you can
select.
actually go in the search for passwords. So, for example, if you need a password for Netflix, for example, you could just go into double tap the search field. You'll get your on-screen keyboard or your Bluetooth keyboard, and you can just type Netflix, and it'll show the Netflix password.
Dictate button.
And of course, the dictate
Double
button is
tap to
just
start.
if you just want to dictate to it.
New password button.
Okay, this is where the last button on the screen, so it's the very bottom right hand corner of the screen, is where you would create a new password. So before we do that, does anyone have any questions? Okay, I don't think there's any questions. So there's a couple options for creating new passwords. You can create it from within the app. So let's say you want a password for a website you might use. So if you got a password on, let's just say, I can't think of a website off the top of my head. The only thing that popped in my mind is TransLink. So TransLink, for those that live in Vancouver, has the ability that you can register an account on their website to customize your alerts and things like that, and have it saved on the website. So you would go in. So I'm just going to do that now. So I instead of actually doing it on their website, I'm just going to do it here because I might actually know the information already, and I just want to add it to passwords without actually going to the website. So
New password.
I'm going to double tap the new password.
Cancel button. Text field is editing. Title. Insertion point at start.
Okay, so it's obviously
Use the button to access misspelled.
it told me it was a count. So the title field is exactly what it is. So let's say here I would type TransLink, for example. Then the next field, I'm going to swipe to the right.
Username.
So that's the username I'd have. So in the case of their website, is whatever email address you've registered with them. So let's say, so that would be like janedoe@mail.com, for example. And then the next field.
User. Text field. Password. 20 bullets.
Okay, so it's actually auto-populated an encrypted password already, and so I can keep that password, and then if I wanted to, I could flick up on it and copy it to the clipboard, and then change, and actually make sure that it, because the first time I'm on a website, I might have to actually manually input it, but assuming that you already have done that, like, and it's a password, like you can actually change this auto-generated password. So let's say your password is something like my dog's name should be Nibbles. Then that you would type that into that field, and if that was already registered on the website, you're good to go for the next time you log into that website. Ideally, it's best to just create passwords on whatever app or website for the first time. This is just for ones that you forgot to add to the passwords app. So for any of you that have, say, a few passwords stored in Google Chrome or Firefox, you could actually just go into the passwords app and copy those manually into the password app.
Website.
And then that's obviously the website. So the website in my example for TransLink would be www.translink.ca. So I'm going to hit cancel.
Cancel button.
I didn't actually put a password in here.
Cancel.
Okay. Any other questions?
So, so Richard, this is great. Is this all? It's just applicable for the iPhone or iDevices. Like you can't do any of this on the computer unless, of course, you have OnePass or something. But yeah,
If you have OnePass, then you can do it
Yeah.
on the computer. So if you're using something like OnePass, which we were talking about earlier today prior to the start of this, then your passwords are cross-platform. There is a way to do it with Google Chrome, for example, but it doesn't, like, it kind of works, but not really, because it always wants you to authenticate with iCloud every time you the only time it works all the time is if you keep Chrome open, for example. But it's a bit problematic because of Apple's security protocol. So I think if you were going to, the most reliable way to share passwords across platforms might be using something like OnePass or LastPass, for example.
Oh, I see. Now, for example, RBC, which I can use, I use that either on the computer or the phone. On the phone, I type in the password every time. I don't know where it would show, like, use password from passwords list or whatever.
Yeah, so like if you're, like in your banking one, it depends on how you set up your app. So like RBC might be one of the ones that's not fully compatible, but sometimes on that on-screen keyboard, there's a button at the top of just above
Autofill.
the top letters that says passwords. So double tap that, and then you'll get you'll get your list of passwords registered on your device, and then you could search for RBC, for example.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to cover a couple things that you can actually do in the. So I'm just gonna go open. So I'm going to open my main passwords tab.
342 items. Button. Section index. Adjustable.
Okay.
Swipe up or down with one.
So there is a section index. There's other things too that you can do on this one. So on the router, you can switch to
Characters. Words. Headings.
So you can switch to headings. So just turn your router whatever way you've set up, whether it's your two fingers right and left swipe, or if you're turning it like the radio dial. So like right now I've set it to headings. So I don't have group passwords, but if you have multiple categories of passwords, they're all marked by headings.
All. Heading.
So it might say I've got all heading.
Heading not found.
And then that's it, because I only have one heading in mine. The other thing you can do with the router.
Act.org or Marion. Security rep.
Okay, so you can actually, in the router, go to the actions section for each password.
Characters, words, headings, words, character, actions, activate.
Okay, so in the main category list, there's a couple actions. So activate is obviously the default, so that would open up that password.
Delete.
Delete.
Activate.
So
default.
in the main list of passwords, you have activate or delete. So, but if I wanted to open it, so I double tap it.
Act.org. Website, membership password.
Okay, so I've got a password here, and again, I'm going to go to the actions router.
Characters, actions, activate.
Okay, so here you've got activate is the default, so that would actually expose the password, so you could see the actual password.
Copy password.
So this is where you can actually flick up as long as your actions setting is the default where your router is. You can flick up to copy password. So that's great if you want to just copy the password and paste it in manually to a website, like in your example, Peg, like with RBC. You could copy it and then manually paste it into RBC, the RBC app.
Show in large type.
Actually, no. In the case of my first example, I'm sorry, Peg. You would actually, when you find the password, if you've typed that password button found that password button on the keyboard, once you've found your RBC, it would autofill the password for you. But let's say you didn't find that password button, you could go into the passwords app and copy the password from the actual list of passwords and then paste it manually into your app. The show enlarged type is more for people that aren't using VoiceOver. I'm not sure what it does.
Reveal password.
And then there's an option that says reveal password. So that would actually reveal the actual text so you could read it on the thing. So if your password is my dog should be kibbles or should be nibbles, then you'd be able to read it all. And what else? Yeah, so I think that's kind of covers it. It's a fairly broad thing. I did send Diana some notes that I had the assistance of Google Gemini to generate, and I verified that the information in those notes was correct, and so it gives you a broader idea of what the Passwords app can do, because same with Wi-Fi, you can delete and share passcodes with other people in your family group and things like that as well too, and also with the pass keys, you can actually, if you have a family group, you can share pass keys with each other as well too, as for websites. So they may still have to authenticate with their own biometrics, but that's assuming that they've also, but it does allow you to at least share some information like that as well too. So yeah, I'll take some other questions if people have them.
It's Louise. I have a question because sometimes, okay, and sometimes you with your partner share a password. So, like, like, let's just use the Nest thermostat. So, if I'm taking and making a password for that and saving it in there, because I think I've got to go clean it mine all up. I now know where my problems are, I think. Um, but if I change that password or that, if they generate one, it makes it harder for Dave to enter on his. So usually I get him to make one and then set it up on his, and then I put it into my side. So if I save it on my side, is that going to be a problem for him to use? That's.
Yes. So what you need to do is, let's say you generate one of those encrypted passwords. Then you can copy it. What I do with my spouse is when I need to send him passwords that I've generated, I copy them and I just either send him a message with it, and then he just puts it into his password manager, because we're dealing with the same situation as you. One of us is using iOS, the other one is using
Yeah, that's
Android.
I was that's
Yeah,
I was trying not to be. But
yeah,
yes, this is a problem.
yeah. Um, there may be a more reliable way to do it if you're using stuff like OnePass, for example, and maybe that other webinar will be useful for people that are dealing with the same situation where your family is on different operating systems. Want a password manager that's not exclusively for Apple might be better in that sense. And the good thing about things like OnePass is, I believe you can export your already existing passwords apps to OnePass now. It was a bit more difficult before, but I think that's doable now as well too. Because I noticed in the passwords app settings there was an option to export it to a compatible password manager, other compatible password managers.
So it's better to let him set up the password and then just me put it in and just save it my way,
Yeah,
enter
yeah,
it.
it might be easier for him to do it that way. Like my spouse and I have done it both ways. We've done it like I've either generated passwords, sent it to him, and same vice versa. He's generated encrypted passwords because he does use a password manager that I haven't I didn't couldn't get it to work with voiceover. So it's for the amount of passwords that we share, we just share them back and forth with each other once they're generated. So
But I thank you because I think I now know what's been wrong with using passwords. So thank you for sharing.
yeah. It's really important that, yeah, like especially for an account that you're both sharing, like your Nest account or your MISA account, that you definitely are trying to log in with the same exact information. So that's where it's really crucial that you know what password that your husband might have set up, or that he also knows what password you set up.
I have a question.
Okay.
Should probably give a few people a giggle at the same time. So I've often longed for all the different passwords that I have, different places where I log in, like a page with knitting patterns, recipes, things that are really, quite frankly, I could care less whether anybody knows that I'm doing this, but it'd be nice if all the passwords would be there. So I would then want to invoke the save password, so that every time I went to any of those sites, it would automatically write it in for me, correct?
Yeah, it does. So like,
However, hang on, the
yeah.
other part to my question is I can't separate that from, um, if I do that for one password, I have to do it for them all. Because listen, if I do this for my banking app, I'm picturing going to the bathroom one day and my phone's sitting on the counter, and you're going to decide you're going to transfer money from my account to yours. You have plenty of time to do that before I get back.
Only if you've left your phone unlocked. Yeah, and so the thing with one password and the Apple passwords, like you,
Screen dimmed.
I think, and that we'll have to verify. They might
So,
have
in
a
other
timeout.
words, yeah, I have a timeout too. Mine, I set it up for every hour. When I set up Apple Pay, I set it up for once an hour at least. My phone will lock if I don't open it within that hour.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's one more recent other than to have it locked all the time, right? And that's kind of a
Yeah,
pain.
because
I
your screen,
just,
you can go to your screen settings in your display settings and change your auto lock from like
yeah,
I've got mine set for 5 minutes only. I used to have it only
okay,
for 30 seconds.
okay. So
Yeah,
5 minutes I might have to go to because
yeah,
then some of these things would be a little more secure. Okay,
yeah.
I
And then
get it.
the one thing about one pass, if let's say you did leave your phone on the bathroom counter, I wouldn't advise doing that in a public bathroom, by the way. But if
Oh
you did,
no.
if you did, the one thing is, as soon as you open one pass or the Apple passwords, they have to re-authenticate with your biometrics to even get into it.
Okay, all right.
Like, so so they would need to know, have your face print to be able to hold the phone up to your face or your face, or know your security code.
I've had a lot of trouble with the Face ID thing, but I know that's not today's subject. Doesn't seem to work everywhere I want it to, but that's another day's story.
That's another
Okay, I
day's
think
story.
you've
Yeah.
answered my question. I have to be more careful in other places in
Uh,
order to make this
yeah.
work. Yeah.
Kind of give you a quick tip on Face ID, and this will help people that maybe struggle with it, especially if they want to use it for their password manager and their banking app. You can, if you go into the Face ID settings, turn off the requires attention switch, because for people that are blind, when that
Yeah,
switch is turned on, it requires you to make eye contact with your phone.
that's right.
So if you
Yeah.
turn that off, it makes it a little easier for the Face ID to work. It makes your phone a little less secure, but it works better for us.
It gives you a little bit more leeway the way that, it says look right and I'm looking left.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
And Diana has her hand up.
Uh, yeah, I was uh, blah blah blah.
Or
Richard
had her
answered
hand
the
up.
question. Um, he answered my question, basically. Or not my question, but he said what I was going to say. But I was also going to say with Face ID, if you cover up the camera, then it'll ask you to put in your password. So if you just put your finger over the top of the phone, if your Face ID isn't working, it'll say, put in your password. So you can do that instead.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it also, if it fails to recognize your face after, I think it's a couple attempts, even
Yeah,
if you don't cover the camera,
yeah.
it'll ask you for
It'll
your
go to
password.
password.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Was there any other questions?
No,
Um,
that's it. Oh,
Go ahead.
you go first, Nikki. Oh, I just actually passcode. Is it advisable to have, or does it matter how many digits the passcode is? 4 or 6? Should you always have a 6? I mean, I've got a 4-digit one, but is it recommended?
I think that's your
I have
call.
4.
I
Yeah.
use a 6-digit one because a previous employer required it because we had to use our
Ah,
phones to authenticate to get into their network. So I just kept my 6-digit one, but I think
yeah,
that's your call,
yeah,
as well too. So
yeah. Okay.
I thought Apple Pay required me to have 6 when I first set it up.
it's
No,
It's
mine's
No,
4.
no,
mine's
okay,
4. No, mine.
all
Yeah.
right. I've
Yeah,
left it
it's
like
as long
that,
as
but yeah,
because like for example, if you have Apple Pay and your app, if anyone has an Apple Watch, the watch can only accommodate a 4-digit code.
4.
So
Okay.
yeah,
What I do when I'm out, if I'm on a bus or something, I don't want to unlock my phone. I try to remember to turn the screen curtain on. Not that that's a guaranteed thing, but yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's the
Mm-hmm.
other thing too. For anyone that's like doing this kind of stuff in public, if you turn screen curtain on, like your Face ID and everything will still work, and then people won't actually be able to look over your
Yeah.
shoulder and watch you enter your passcode
Yeah.
manage your passwords if you're doing that. To be honest with you, I wouldn't do too much password management in a public place.
Oh no, no.
Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention is when you've set up your password app, sometimes on websites you'll get the prompt that says there'll be a button. It usually appears near the bottom of the screen. It says it'll, like if you double tap, say, the username, it'll come up with the button that says autofill username. It will, and on some websites will autofill the username and move you to the password field, and then the same thing, the button will appear on the bottom and it says autofill password. When you autofill the password, it would actually log you into the website. So that sometimes doesn't work, but a lot of times it does work, especially with newer, sort of more modern websites as well too. And same sometimes even on some apps as well too. But usually with the apps, you still have to look for the submit buttons. Well, I
Okay.
don't think there's
There's
any
no
questions.
more.
No.
There's no more questions. So thank you very much, and that concludes this. That does conclude this presentation. I was going to say demonstration. And again, when this recording gets posted, there'll be some notes that give some sort of written information on how to do some of these things, and if anyone has any further questions, you can just let us know, and one of us will be glad to help you with it.
Thank you for checking out our content. To learn more about the Alliance for Equality of Blind Canadians, please visit www.blindcanadians.ca. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe.